We're going to go straight to Long Beach, California for this next one, right?
That's right. We're talking to Mukurima Muriuki. He is a partner at MBS Conflict Resolution Group. However, he's talking to us in his capacity as a Kenyan living in the U.S. And just to let us know what the situation has been like in California more specifically. Mukurima, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Victoria.
Great. But before we get to you, let's take a look at what you posted the other day on Facebook. And you say, Good Fridays, so America reports 2,035 deaths on a single day to coronavirus. Meanwhile, there are many Kenyans in America's diaspora who need our support financially and spiritually as COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc. Will you stand with our comrades? What necessitated that post, Mukurima?
I posted that because of the urgency of the matter as necessitated by COVID-19. There are a number of Kenyans, for example, in Massachusetts who have been in quarantine, and their status in America is one of undocumented immigrants. And as you know, sometimes undocumented immigrants are kind of beneath the surface and may not always be known to the outer society in terms of what they are going through. The economy is losing jobs here in America. The reports say that close to 17 million Americans are out of the workforce. If you dig deeper into a state like California and just go into a city like Los Angeles, which is one of the 482 cities within the state, tourism is the backbone of the economy. As a matter of fact, in 2018, 50 million visitors traveled to Los Angeles for to visit attractions and so on and so forth, spending close to $20 billion and also leaving a total economic impact of $7.8 billion. Close to 525,000 jobs are reliant on tourism in California, in Los Angeles. All these jobs have been lost. Most employees have been furloughed, and a number of other employees have also been laid off. Most of these are Kenyans.
All right, Mukurima, it's Jeff. If I could ask you, you said most of these are Kenyans who have been furloughed or laid off. Do you have any personal examples? Do you know people who have been who have been told, you know what, go home until you're further needed?
Yes, I do have two friends who are working actually in the healthcare industry and who have been told their services are not needed for the short term.
And what about the ones in quarantine? Have you been able to speak to any of them to let you know how they're doing? How many, for instance, are they?
I've not spoken directly to anybody in quarantine, but a friend of mine did speak to 4 Kenyans in Massachusetts who are in quarantine, and they are actually looking to see if the Kenyan community could support them because they do not have enough funds to support their families when they're in quarantine, meaning that they are not accessing their jobs. So it's also incumbent upon the Kenyan community in America to also stand up for one another.
You know, interesting, Mukurima, you mentioned people coming together to try and raise funds, and it sounds so strange coming from someone who lives in the U.S. The perception is that everything is okay there. You talked about a lot of Kenyans who are undocumented and can't benefit from something like the stimulus, for instance. How are they faring on without any kind of support? And are they probably coming together to raise funds for those who are not going to be supported by a process like that?
So far, there has not been any mechanisms put forth to support such Kenyans. So we are hoping that as days go by, we will be able to put in place mechanisms that will be able to support our brothers and sisters who have been directly affected by COVID-19.
You know what, Mukurima, you wrote in a local daily how life is for Kenyans over there, that other than Texas, the next state where there are most Kenyans is California. And you write personal examples of someone who waited 20 years to be naturalized as a U.S. citizen, and that's been postponed indefinitely. Give us more examples of how people have been affected by this COVID-19.
Yeah, as you said correctly, there's a friend who has waited for 20 years for the naturalization process, which means that this is a process that will make them citizens, a citizen of America. But now that ceremony has been postponed. There is also a case of Kenyans who are citizens here who have filed for reunification with their loved ones who are in Kenya, and who now cannot come or travel because of the COVID-19, as it has rendered traveling impossible. There are also, as you know, summer is the season for commencement ceremonies when people are graduating from universities. With COVID-19 and suspension of also many activities and schools, it means that there will be no commencement ceremonies, at least in the short term.
I'm curious, Mukurima, what happens in the long term when you're talking about people who can't travel back? Usually the option is if nothing works in the U.S., you just come back home. That's not an option right now. So what are most Kenyans thinking about doing in the interim?
I do not think coming back right now is an option, because we're also going to a country where you also be in quarantine for 14 days. There's also uncertainty of what will be coming in the next few days. So I think grouping together here in America and working together and finding a solution will be the more optimal way.
Mukurima, just for curiosity's sake, how long have you been in America?
9 years.
9 years. Are you scared?
Yeah, I mean, I'm human enough to be scared, but more so I'm scared for myself, and also I have to be scared for my parents back home. I have 2 friends who received that dreaded call that, hey, you know, your mom has passed on. And now with what we are witnessing now, it means that you cannot travel back home to be with a loved one in case you have lost a relative or a friend.
You mentioned a lot of Kenyans have lost their jobs, many of them in the services industry. You can imagine how devastating that is. Just to give us an idea of the kind of profiles of jobs that Kenyans hold in the U.S. right now.
The advantage of Kenyans is that you know, they occupy different industries in America. They are architects, they are engineers, they are people in transportation and logistics. They are professors. So every sphere of life, there is a Kenyan. Now, what concerns most about the loss of these jobs is that it's affecting all industries. It's not just affecting one industry. You would imagine that healthcare, actually, according to American Census Bureau, 40% of Kenyans are in the healthcare industry. But in as much as it's the industry that is putting people on the front line of combating COVID-19, there are also the reality that people are no longer going to see their primary care physicians, for example. The people are not going to see their dentists. It also means that these jobs are being cut, and also that is affecting Kenyans as well.
Yeah. Mukurima, Victoria asked you this question. Let me ask it in a different way. You're over there, we are over here. If you had a choice, would you want to be there or here?
I mean, I love both countries. I have that option. I mean, I see the advantages of both worlds. So I wouldn't choose and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to leave this place because of the circumstances of COVID-19. I mean, I want to fight because I'm a fighter. I would want to be here and fight. And also, if it means that, you know, giving back resources to my country to fight COVID-19, I also want to be in a position to do so.
And how do you keep sane at a time like this? You know, we keep hearing words like lockdown. Everyone in the world knows what that means, to be cooped up at home, not have your daily routine. What do you do to kind of keep yourself busy and also, you know, mentally sane at this time?
The optimist sees an opportunity in every difficulty. And I've been spending a lot of time catching up on books because I love reading. I also go to a local park to kind of exercise or take a walk, or even catch up with family and friends back home, because other times I may not have that time to be able to connect with friends back home.
Tell me something real quick, Mukurima. The undocumented Kenyans over there, obviously they don't have any insurance cover, right? Am I right here?
For the most part, yes.
So if they develop complications, what happens to them? Or do they not show up, or they don't call 911, if you will?
That's the fear, because you know, as an undocumented worker, you do not want to go to present yourself, lest your status will be known to everybody. So there are concerns that people who are undocumented are kind of staying back home and hoping that if they have symptoms, it will not be COVID-19. But in cases where the symptoms kind of turn out to be that they are positive with COVID-19, then it becomes very difficult. And also how they interact with other Kenyans in terms of, are they quarantining themselves to avoid spreading the virus? So it's kind of a difficult line to walk through.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, if you will.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's interesting because it's kind of exposing, you know, what we've always thought America is not, and why people move to the United States. From everything you've said, Mukurima, what would you want viewers to know about the United States, living there, being an immigrant, and, you know, just the takeaway for anyone who's thinking about going there, for instance?
I mean, in terms of people wanting to travel to America, I mean, that's an individual decision. The times that we are in are such important, and we ought to just follow what the healthcare experts are telling us, and that is social distance, wear a mask, sanitize, and love people and love one another.
Mukurima, any comment? Have you tried to call the Kenyan embassy there, either in LA at the consulate or the embassy in Washington, D.C.? Have you tried to contact them for further details?
No, I have not tried to contact the embassy or the consulate.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time, Mukurima, and all the best. Keep safe as well, and hopefully it gets better with time.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.